Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscape of Scotland. And today I've come to Invermark at the top of Glen because there's a cool old abandoned castle here and I thought it would be a cool evening walk. But it's actually 21 degrees Celsius right now and it's just after 5 PM, so it's some incredible summertime temperatures. Look at this folks, there's a cardboard cut out of a sheep right here. First time we've seen this ever on the channel. Look at this old bridge as well at the start of the video. Wow, I can see fish darting about in the river. Maybe wee trout louping. This is incredible here at Invermark as well. It's ancient landscape. The history up in a place like this is just incredible. Old buildings, old churches. And I think if you keep walking probably like 2 miles up this road, it takes you to Loch Lee, and on the edge of that is an ancient like graveyard. And look, there's a church here as well, and I think after the church further up was like disused, they started using the one lower down here because it's still called the Loch Lee Kirk, even though it's down here miles from Loch Lee. Check this out folks, there's a wee lamb in the field here. They're funny beasts when they're that age. I've actually got the coat on tonight just to keep the sun off my sunburn, as you may have seen in a previous video on the Angus Show adventure folks. It was so sunny. This is actually the same day as the rainy episode in the last video. And it's incredible sometimes in Scotland, if you come to a different glen, it's just different weather and almost like a different day. The ferns at this side are incredible this time of year, they've all grown. So this is a perfect area at Invermark here for going on walks up into the hills. And I believe this is like a water measuring station in relation to the dam which is further up the glen here. But an incredible thing folks, look, there's a tree being washed down, stuck in the cement. A whole tree, and that shows you the ferociousness of these rivers sometimes in Scotland. That tree's probably come off the loch up at Loch Lee. It's been floating about and then one day it must have come over the overflow. This is all water gauging station it's called. So yeah, on with this adventure folks. The castle's just around the corner here. Check this out folks, this post box here is just in the middle of this barren wilderness in the glen here. If you lived in that house it would be so easy to post your letters. Yeah, the hills are getting so green now. A couple of months ago they were just pure brown and it was barren in these lands, whereas now everything's come to life. Everything's growing. And look at this castle folks. So this is Invermark Castle and it's so cool to see iron bars and things still on the window, and you can just imagine approaching a place like this when it was in its like original, when it was in its prime. It must have been incredible to see. There would have been smoke coming out of the chimneys. Places like this were hard to attack and that were built for like defensive purposes. But credit to the strength of it, it's still standing after all these years. The internal parts of this castle's gone, and I think last time I looked in there was just scaffolding and things inside it. Check that out there though, there's proper like firing holes or slots from within the castle, like we've seen at some of the castles recently on the videos. And another original defensive feature of the castle, the doors are way up there, so it was really hard for them to attack the castle, and it was hard for them to obviously climb up and go inside it. So an ancient castle like this was probably developed and changed over the years. I can see it's got a tower up there, a round tower at the top. But the way that the iron door and things is made, it's just incredible to see. I think one time years ago I actually climbed up and had a proper look in. But I believe it is privately owned, and they were doing certain things as far as restoration goes. Yeah, there's been another massive window there. I believe that's how you can tell this has been an original door. All the other big entrances. Wow, that's a crazy like peacock or something over there. But aye, all the other big openings have got bars and remains of bars which show they've been windows. Whereas this one, you can see it's always been the door. But there has been other things into the stones on the outside, and I believe that would have been some sort of wooden ladder or some sort of apparatus for climbing up and climbing into the castle. And you can just imagine the great banquets and meals that may have been eaten up in some of those great halls, rooms. And it's probably like, I don't even know how much, it looks like it's about 100 feet at least. And some of the windows still have their iron bars in them, which is so impressive. Some of the other windows are more defensive, like firing slots. And a lot of these castles, like we've seen on previous ones recently, they've got underground sections which is like stone arches, and that gives them extreme strength. So most likely inside there's another couple of stories which is underground. Wow, check it out for this angle, folks. It's always a fun walk, and on a sunny night like this you really see the castle in its full glory. It's a proper big chunk of stone, built for defensive purposes obviously, and it probably saw scenes of like war and terror over the years. After the days of it being in its prime, it was probably invaded and taken over multiple times in its history. And it's cool to think about that sort of thing as I walk around and imagine the people that might have been looking out those defensive windows. What were they thinking? The unusual thing, there's all different shapes and sizes of openings. Some of them's tiny little, some of them's round. It almost looks like there's been something else built at this side. Wow, folks, what a cool castle. Invermark Castle. It's cool often on a video to just come to a place like this and have a quick walk around, see what's left from an ancient time and history like this. And I can actually see there's been a crack leading up this wall, and it's been filled in with cement. The outer walls look like they've been cared for. So it's cool to see the different condition of all these castles that's hidden within these wild landscapes. Most of them built way back 1300s or even earlier in time. Potentially they were also built on sites of old like strongholds. But it's so cool just to see what's left of that. The way the metal bars are and the windows and things like that. That's before the days there was even glass. It would have been so difficult to get inside a building like that. So that's the path there that I went up on a previous video when I went to the Queen's Well. And that path takes you way out onto the hill to the famous well which was built for Queen Victoria. And an interesting thing, I've just seen a massive heron flying over that field right there. It's probably fleeing about looking for some fish for its tea. Maybe fishing in this river right here. The heat from that sun's just incredible. Summertime is here, folks, and I'm making the most of these light evenings. I literally just thought it's so cool to go and see that castle again, because it's been a while since I've walked like around that. And the old stonework and brickwork, to think how long it stood there. It's a cool artefact or skeleton of history in this sort of glen. Anyway, I'm just about back at my car, folks. It's been a short video, but it's been interesting to see Invermark Castle once again standing in its full glory right there in this wilderness at the top of Glen. It's quite a drive up through that scenic glen of Glen, and then this Invermark and Loch Lee landscape's just right at the top. But yeah, it's a fun evening adventure once again. Anyway, I'm going to end it here. I'm just about back at my car. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you soon, folks.